Assalamu alaikum. It's me, Salam Sabi, and whew, this is gonna be a controversial. It's gonna get some people talking. It's gonna piss off some people. It's gonna make some people upset. But this is something I feel very passionately about, and it hurts me so deep. Like, it bothers me so much that this is something that I have to discuss. I have to talk about. It's just, whew, I I gotta breathe. I gotta exhale. Because it was just so crazy. I've been doing just a little bit of traveling. I've gone to Philadelphia. I've gone to New Jersey. I've gone to Connecticut, and it was really great to travel from state to state because I was meeting, all types of Muslims and people from different countries, tribes, backgrounds. It was, mashallah, I mean, it was wonderful. But there was one thing I noticed, and it was really within a certain community, and it was just such a great deal of poverty. Um, it bothered me so much that I just had to make a video just explaining just how much it hurt me, and just seeing some of these social, economical positions of so many sisters and even brothers. It was just really heart wrenching to see people just really living in near poverty. Um, there was who? Okay, where should I start? Um, First thing I just saw a lot of polygynist relationships, plural marriages, where one man who sometimes they didn't even have a real job, or if they did have a job, it was probably enough just for them. And just seeing men having two, three, four wives, and all of these wives are pulling out, food stamp cards, EBT cards, WIC, because their marriage is not on public record. So they're basically seen as a single female who needs public assistance, especially if she has children. It was just seeing other Muslims, working the system to their advantage, but still having to live in poverty. I can't tell you how many sisters who lived in rundown neighborhoods, unsanitary buildings, sending their children to schools that were not up to par. It was just really painful. And then seeing some of these brothers, especially coming out of jail, and trying to stay on their dean, and trying to stay positive, and they can't find jobs, and it was just a lot of chaos. I just saw a lot of chaos. I also stopped in New York, and there's just so much poverty, and it was just so sad. And I saw so much of this within the African American community. I saw two types of Muslims. I saw Muslims that were either just getting by, or Muslims that were doing pretty well. It was just shocking to see how, a man can have more than one wife and not really take any responsibility for none of them. I've always known this, but to see it constantly playing out, you have co wives standing at the bus stop together with their children, going back to the projects or whatever rundown area that they live in, while sometimes their husbands are at work, or the husband's with another wife. Or it's just really, it was really heartbreaking to see the lack of education. Just, you know I just feel like there are so many Muslim women who are kind of invisible, like people don't see them, people don't hear them. they're not having a lot of their needs met. I do know, like, within our communities, we do try really hard within the Ummah to, help each other and stuff like that. But just seeing so many married women on public assistance was just very heartbreaking. I'm not. I'm actually at a point in my life where I'm not just blaming men for everything. Females do have to take some responsibilities for the way that their life is going. If you see a man and he doesn't have much, and that he has other wives, it's probably not the smartest thing to do. I remember talking to a few sisters, and they're just holding on to their faith in Allah, is what's keeping them alive, because they've pretty much given up on their marriage, and they've given up on really ever being happy. It's kind of like the happiest time for them is during Juma, when they, meet up with other sisters, and it's just really sad. And then you see these brothers coming out of jail and trying to find jobs, and some of them go back because they can't. It's really heartbreaking. We have so many African American and minorities taking their shahadas, but they have no support. Like, they really, they have support within the community, but when it comes time to go outside and to find jobs and housing, it's so hard. And it's just very sad. I just saw, one man can have 12 kids. It was just too much. It was just too much poverty, and it was just so heartbreaking for me to see. And also, there was just a lot of racial divides. Like, the Arabs stay over there, the Pakistanis stay here, people from here stay here, and the black people stay here, and the people don't marry this. And just seeing how sisters have to kind of go into plural marriages because there aren't enough brothers, and it's not like the brothers from foreign countries are really marrying a lot of the black sisters. It's just really hard out there, especially if you have children. But then I saw a lot of entrepreneurship. I saw a lot of sisters who did hair, a lot of sisters who did henna, a lot of sisters who they went to college, and that they were helping people do resumes. And so it's really beautiful, to see other sisters trying to help each other. A lot of sisters who can sew, a lot of sisters who can design, a lot of sisters who can cook. So, alhamdulillah, it was awesome to see that, and meeting brothers who were doing their best. They were barbers, they were trying to fix cars, they were just trying to really survive, and it's sad to say, because there still are, there's still people who are on the streets selling drugs because they don't see any other way out, even though they are Muslim, and they hit that mat every time it's time for Salah. And it's just, there's just a lot going on in our deen, and sometimes we're so hard on each other. But I've also seen what happens when you become lax. When you become lax, your society. I mean, I saw sisters wearing skinny jeans with tight shirts and like a little hijab, a little scarf on their head, and wearing Timbs. It was just, you saw things that just were also inappropriate, because that community had just kind of given up almost. Like, as long as you're Muslim and as long as you pray 5 times a day, then it's fine. You can pretty much do whatever you want. And then I saw communities where it was just too strict. It was just, I mean, they were spray painting their windows black, like young ladies being married off at very young, at a very young age. It was just a lot. I've seen so much in the last few months from traveling here or there. Um, it's just really, I just feel that within our communities we really need to start stepping out more. And this is just my opinion. I think it's time for us to not just rebuild our communities, but to actually start going out. A lot of people like, I don't want to go out into the dunya, but I'm like, somebody has to. Somebody has to go out there and represent for other Muslims. Somebody has to go out there and fight for our cause. It's not just men, but also us women, our sisters. We need to stand up and start trying to help. I mean, and it's such a beautiful thing, because we sisters, I've seen us put $20, $5, $10, to help a sister find somewhere to stay, if her husband kicked her out. We really do come together in times of need because all we have is each other. But it was just really sad seeing, like, just chaos, just complete chaos, and it was a learning experience. I also spoke to a lot of African sisters who are from Senegal, and they were telling me about, plural marriage, and how plural marriage is just something that you get into because you're poor. And it's socially, it's a social norm. So it's not a big deal if your husband has a second or third wife, because, you don't really have a say so, because your husband is the one who's taking care of you. And they just found it really interesting how they were saying how in the United States there really is no need for plural marriage, because a lot of them felt like there's so many, opportunities here for women that they really don't need to be a second or third or fourth wife. So, what was that show that had so much, like, had people screaming? Is it called American Muslim or something like that? I don't remember. But I saw a few episodes of that, and it was just so controversial, and everybody was like, that's not a real Muslim. And then sponsors were pulling out, and it was just such a big deal. And all I have to say about that show is that there's all types of Muslims. I still have not met a Muslim that follows Islam by the book. I think they were just showing you one type of Muslims. There are Americanized Muslims, there are Westernized Muslims, there are those who don't wear hijab, there's those who wear makeup, there's those who are very strict, there are those who go in and out of the deen. There's all types of Muslims. Of course, there was no African American Muslims. I do think the show kind of played into stereotypes that all Muslims are from, like so and so country or whatever. But overall, I thought the few episodes I did see, I didn't have any issues. And I remember everybody was screaming, oh my God, the sister is marrying a non-Muslim, and you can't do that. Well, there's plenty of Muslims who do. So I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying that it's just the reality of the situation. One sister was getting her nails done, and it was like a stock full, like people were like passing out. I wasn't shocked because I know plenty of Muslims that do get their nails done. Am I saying it's right? Well, if you read your Quran and Sunnah, of course it's wrong, but humans are humans, and they're basically going to do whatever they want to do. Just like you can tell, I kind of liked how the show showed people on various. Nobody has the same deen. I don't even like saying that another person's deen is higher than the other, because I've met sisters who were supposedly had, very high, their deen was, up there, and then you get to know them personally and you notice that it wasn't real. They're just really good at covering up their dirt. So I most definitely don't go by how pious you look or how pious you basically act in public, because you don't know people's deen. So overall, I just really feel like, especially within the black community, there's just, we really need to try to get it together. One thing I did enjoy seeing was black business owners, but after that, it was just kind of, it was just kind of sad. It was just kind of sad. There's still a lot of work to be done, and it was just kind of sad. So that was all I have to say. If you find it offensive or blah blah blah, each community of Muslims have their own issues. I've met sisters from Pakistan whose parents are forcing them to marry someone who they don't like. I've met sisters from Saudi Arabia who just, that's just a whole other story. But I've met sisters from Jordan and wherever else. Every culture has their own issue, has their own. I met a sister who couldn't marry, a brother because he wasn't from the same tribe or something like that. I mean, it was just really stupid, but each culture has their own problems, and it did also hurt me to see there's so much racism. Oh my goodness, so much racism in the Ummah. We still have a lot of work to do. So okay guys, I'm done. Assalamu alaikum.